Okay, folks, on probably my last couple videos, I quickly said something about a Trump peace plan. Well, folks, there is a peace plan that Trump has. It involves Israel and Palestine, and it could be released before March 2nd, which would be Israel's third election. They have never had to have an election 3 times to achieve a government. So that's a little bit prophetic, pretty big prophetic in itself that they're having to have a third election. Anyway, uh, he quite possibly he will release his peace plan after the elections, possibly even like a week after. Even we've heard even a week after he could release this. It's the deal of the century. He calls this. He wanted to even before his presidency, and right after he mentioned that this would be a great achievement for him to be able to bring peace over there to the Middle East, to Israel and Palestine. Of course, we know that will not work out in the long run. It will end, but it is prophetic. Biblically, there is a covenant with many mentioned in Daniel 9:27, folks. We can go there. That was written in the book of Daniel 2,500 years ago. And now, even today, we can see how a lot of this is coming to pass. But we need to know if this is the prophetic peace plan. Now, if we go to Dr. Irvin Baxter and Dave Robbins at End Time Ministries, as well as some other folks, Paul Begley and many others, we can know through them and understanding the Word of God, through Revelation, through Daniel, through many other books of the Bible, that there is ways for us to know if it is the prophetic covenant with many, the prophetic peace plan. Now, folks, I'm going to give these real quick to you. There's 5 things that we need to look for when this peace plan is unveiled by Trump, Jared Kushner, Greenblatt, I believe, as well. But this is still in play, folks. Okay, the first one was that in Judea, which is the West Bank, Judea is in the Bible, but now today it's called the West Bank. It will be given to the Palestinians, and they will control that. So it looks like it'll be a 2-state agreement, or maybe just kind of like a 1-state agreement with Palestine over control of the West Bank. Secondly, the Jews will be allowed to stay in Judea. There's already hundreds of thousands of Jews that live in the West Bank. Well, they will be allowed to stay there, probably living as a minority under Palestinian control there in the West Bank, which of course again in the Bible is called Judea and Samaria. Number 3, the Temple Mount, where we're looking at right now. This is this is probably the second temple that was destroyed in 70 AD by the Romans. This will be rebuilt. This is the Temple Mount. This is a picture of the temple, possibly as it was looked at back in the day, folks. So this will be rebuilt on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, folks, in Jerusalem. Okay, now that's this Temple Mount we're looking at with the temple that's built on it here. You can see the sacrifices there that are going on. You'll have daily sacrifices. You'll have one in the morning, one in the evening. Of course, that we'll talk about all this stuff later. But this is a picture of the temple in Jerusalem on the Temple Mount. There's a lot of stuff that I could talk about all this, but just want to give you a picture of what it could look like when it's rebuilt. But this is definitely a good picture, basically, of what it looked like before it was destroyed by the Romans in 70 AD. That was prophesied back in Matthew 24. The first part of it, we can look at that. Okay. That Temple Mount we're looking at will be placed under a sharing arrangement between the Jews and the Muslims. The Muslims are there too as well. They have the Al-Aqsa Mosque right near, and there will be a sharing arrangement so that the Jews can worship, the Christians even possibly, and then the Muslims can worship separately, but there'll be a sharing arrangement. Number 4, the Jewish temple, of course, will be rebuilt. So we're looking to see if possibly it says that there'll be a temple built. Could be called a tabernacle. We've heard different things. We heard that maybe in this plan there has been a leak. I can go through that eventually here in another video. There's several leaks of the peace plan that it did appear that there is some type of a tabernacle, some type of maybe a prayer building that's going to be built on the Temple Mount, maybe first before the third temple is built. We're not sure, but we got to look for that. That hopefully they will be allowed to, that Jews will be allowed to build their third temple. They have got everything ready for it. They are ready for this temple to be rebuilt. Everything that goes in the temple is ready. The writing on the red Hefner, I'll go into that later. That should be ready by August of 2020, hopefully. A lot of things are ready to go with this thing. They said if Dr. Irvin talked to a man over there in control of a lot of this and said it could take less than a year for them to rebuild the temple. So folks, it could go up quickly. We have to wait on the peace plan. And we got to wait and see if this is involved in the plan for it to be the prophetic plan for us to go into Daniel's 70th week. And I'll go into that later as well. All right, with number 5, basically, we have to look and see about Jerusalem, because Jerusalem looks like will remain under Jewish control throughout all the way to the end of Daniel's 70th week. And of course, I'll go into that later as well. But we need to look for these things when Trump's peace plan, the deal of the century, is unveiled, I guess in March, folks, coming up in just a few months. We'll actually know if this is the prophetic covenant with many, folks. So I'll have more to come on this later. Y'all be safe.